Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, and on myjoyonline.com. We're also live in all 16 regions of Ghana on Radio Max, Sakrade BP, FM BP, and Dreams Bolgatanga. We're also live on X Spaces and Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. This afternoon, the Finance Minister vows to slash inflation to single digits to alleviate the financial burden on Ghanaians following his apology for the hardships caused by the stringent IMF policies.
We are determined to end this year with an inflation rate of 15%. If this party continues in government next year, we are even further determined to bring inflation to a single digit. And on this note, I would like to appeal to the people of Ghana to forgive us.
Well, we have details as the Finance Minister says Ghana's economy has gone past the crisis stage, promising to explain how government intends to change its approach in road infrastructure financing.
We have gone past the period of the crisis. The economy has shown resilience. The economy is growing, defying all odds, growing above World Bank targets, growing above IMF targets, and we are very determined to continue to invest in this economy.
We have details of that also in this bulletin. Ghanaians in the UK advised to stay indoors by 7 p.m. to avoid potential attacks from anti-immigration protesters targeting minority groups.
Even after this morning, our officers are calling around the country, the leadership of Ghanaian community, asking for an update and urging them to encourage Ghanaians in the UK to try and be indoors by latest 7 p.m.
We have more from the Ghana's High Commissioner to the UK. Also, Sugarcane Farmers Association issue a week's ultimatum to President Akufo-Addo to intervene in the controversial lease of the Commander Sugar Factory to a private Indian firm. Watco will hear from the farmers who claim over 200 acres of sugarcane is wasting away, contrary to other reports.
Missy, getting to 20,000 acres of sugarcane farmland, it will say
Also in this bulletin, NDC flag bearer John Mahama blames President Akufo-Addo for strained ties with Burkina Faso, warns of impact on terrorism fight and promises to resolve issues if elected.
We are suffering. America called you small, and you are so excited, and then your neighbor, you are doing concern about him, and so it has created some diplomatic tension.
And this afternoon, we have sports.
Well, the Ghanaian coach training South Sudan's basketball team at the Olympic Games speaks to Joy Sports on that experience.
And later, what has become of the old Agbobloshie onion market after it was cleared in a major demolition exercise?
And a toilet, and a wall.
Now this place has been turned into refuse dump, a toilet for the community and breeding grounds for snake and other reptiles.
These are more coming up with me, Maame, Nyamekye, Thompson. Stay for details. Well, our first story, Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has pledged government's commitment to reducing inflation to single digits by next year with a goal of alleviating the severe economic hardships faced by Ghanaians. Despite a significant decrease from a peak of 54% during the height of the Russia-Ukraine war to the current 22.8%, inflation remains high, greatly impacting the cost of living and creating a challenging business environment. Businesses have consistently expressed concerns about their ability to survive in such harsh conditions. Here's a recap of reactions from GUTA and the Hoteliers Association.
You will see workers agitating for increment in pay because their take-home pay will not really take them home in the sense that prices are still high. We've not been able to reduce prices because the CD dollar rate is not the best. And that is a very difficult thing. Here we are, we have well going up, and which is a problem. The way it is now, I think they really have a lot of work to do. These last 4 months, they really have a lot of work to do.
So we got to a point where we propose a consolidation of the taxes in the industry. The VAT, the NHIL, the COVID, the GET Fund, and all the other taxes, and bring it to a level that is comfortable for us. We were told that the information went in late, so they were going to consider it in the mid-year review. So we were waiting, hoping that that request will be dealt to, but it wasn't. And again, to the exchange rate and then the fuel prices.
But at a town hall meeting on Tuesday, Finance Minister Mohamed Amin Adam sought to explain some of the concerns raised about the economy, recognizing the untold hardship brought on by his government's decision to go to the IMF.
Domestic debt exchange program was a very successful program, achieving 95% participation. And on this note, I would like to appeal to the people of Ghana to forgive us. It is never the intention of any government to impose hardships on its people. It was a necessary, very important decision at the time that if we avoided it, our economy will not recover such as it has recovered today. But also to thank you, the people of Ghana, to thank you on behalf of the President for the sacrifices, for the efforts that you all have made in participating in the domestic debt exchange program that saved our economy. And so I thank you very much for that support you gave to the government.
Well, Dr. Amin also is committed to reducing inflation to single digits by next year, aiming to alleviate the suffering of Ghanaians.
When the Russia-Ukraine war happened, we saw global inflation going up, and ours was also negatively affected. In fact, inflation went to up to about 54% in 2022. But again, see the effort we have put into managing inflation in Ghana. In June this year, in 18 months, we have brought inflation down from 54% to 22%. In 17 months, we have more than halved inflation from 54% to 22%. And we are determined to end this year with an inflation rate of 15%. God willing, inshallah, if this party continues in government next year, we are even further determined to bring inflation to a single-digit inflation next year.
Well, the Finance Ministry the Minister has still been engaging members of the Ghana Highway Authority and is saying that Ghana's economy has successfully crossed the crisis stage and is growing above the projections of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. My colleague Latif Idrisu is there. Latif, what more can you report?
Yeah, Maame, so the Minister, Mohamed Amin Adam, acknowledges the fact that there was a moment in this country where the economic situation was dire. Now, he's now saying that on authority, that stage of economic crisis is over. We've gone past it, and that the country's economy is growing beyond the projections of the IMF and the World Bank. He said that going forward, this administration is going to work to ensure that they maintain fiscal discipline in order to further grow the economy.
And I say this, very convinced that the economy will grow to support these endeavors. This economy is past the period of economic crisis. We have gone past the period of the crisis. The economy has shown resilience. The economy is growing, defying all odds, growing above World Bank targets, growing above IMF targets. And we are very determined to continue to invest in this economy, to grow and increase our revenue generation, to support government efforts at bringing quality and expanded road network closer to our people. On this note, Excellency the Vice President, ladies and gentlemen, I call on you, private sector participants who are here to work with.
Well, Latif, the Vice President has also been speaking about what he describes as inequity in road tolls and has suggested what he describes as a broad-based tolling to address the challenge. What more has he been saying about this?
Yes, so, Maame, this is the Vice President. I just heard some debate here at the place where this whole discussion is taking place when he mentioned the inequity in tolling. I mean, he is making the point that there are people who live in places like Ridge. They do not have road tolls or tolls within that neighborhood where they have to pay a toll before using the particular stretch where they go to work and come back to the house. And so they are excluded from paying tolls to help in maintaining the roads across the country. He says he's giving them the task to think about it and come up with innovative ways to capture some of these people who are excluded from paying road tolls.
We need, when we're going into tolling, we need to think about broad-based tolling. The current architecture that we have in tolling really tends to exclude even the wealthier parts of the population. So if I live in cantonments, East Legon, Ridge, which are high-end neighborhoods, I will not see a toll. But if I live in Kaswa or somewhere else, I'm likely to meet a toll on the way. There seems to be an inequity in tolling. And I believe that we should look at broad-based.
And you heard the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, engaging members of the Ghana Highway Authority. Let's do some fact-checking now. Now, today we are focusing on some recent claims on the debt situation in the country made by the opposition NDC's Deputy Communications Officer, Malik Basintali. Head of our research desk, Raymond Akwa, joins me in studio with more on the claims and the verdicts. Now, Raymond, what exactly did the NDC Deputy Communications Officer say about Ghana's debt situation?
He's on record to have claimed that the NPP has borrowed over 780 billion cedis.
Bawumia has borrowed over 780 billion.
Well, Raymond, first and foremost, the suggestion that tell us more about that.
Now, first and foremost, the suggestion that because public debt as at the end of June 2024 stood at 742 billion means the current government has borrowed that amount is false. This is because the MPP met a debt stock of 120.3 billion at the end of 2016. At best, one can only say the debt stock has increased by some 621.7 billion under the MPP, and not that the current government has borrowed over 700 billion cedis. Okay. Again, there are other factors like the depreciation of the cedi that results in the increase of Ghana's debt stock. For example, when public debt increased from 351 billion in 2021 to 435 billion as at the end of 2022, the depreciation of the cedi alone accounted for 67 billion of the increase in the debt stock, which is equivalent to some 80.5%. Data from ISA suggests that growth in the nominal debt stock is mainly attributable to continued exchange rate depreciation since 2022.
Thank you so much. Raymond Akwa is head of our research desk. Now, contrary to reports that our growers for Commander Sugar Factory are not yielding enough raw materials to sustain the operation of the factory, the Sugarcane Farmers Association in the Central Region say they have over 200,000 acres of plantation which is wasting away. Their grievances come in the wake of government's announcement that the sugar production facility will be leased to an Indian firm, Watco, for at least 15 years. The decision has been met with the displeasure of the minority members on the Trade and Industry Committee of Parliament, who say the government must answer questions on this proposed lease agreement. Now, former Deputy Minister for Trade and a member of the Trade Committee in Parliament, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, alleges that the Indian firm plans to import brown sugar for inward processing.
The reason why we are against the lease, that particular company, Watco, is not going to produce sugar. They have indicated to the chiefs in Central Region that they are not coming to produce sugar. They are coming to import brown sugar from India, process the brown sugar to white sugar. What it simply means is that the farmers around that area, who indeed have gotten a land about 15,000 acres, those farmers, some of them have gone in to take loans. When your station interviewed some of the farmers, that they went in for loans because when President Nanado came, he assured them, and he said by his words, that I'm going to commission the Commander Sugar Factory in a grand style. Little did the people and the chiefs of Central Region know that the president was lying to them, that he was going to commission it in a grand style. As a result of the assurances given by the president, some of them went in for loans with huge interest rates. Now they invested this loan, expand their farms. Now you are now leasing it to an Indian company that is not interested in the sugarcane they produce. They are only bringing the brown sugar from India to process them. What it simply means is that you are going to create jobs for sugarcane farmers in India. and deny the Ghanaian farmers the opportunities and the jobs.
Well, civil society group Imani Africa is also demanding the full disclosure of the lease arrangement between government and the Indian firm. We can hear from Franklin Kujo, who is president of Imani Africa.
We need to have been told exactly what the current state of this plant is, how much money initially was sunk at.
The minister says
I don't know the basis upon which the $1 million per year is expected for the country. I also don't know the basis of pay $50,000. I think Katie says it's not signed.
It claims
everything is so. Let's understand the full mathematics plan of this particular suggestion of a lease arrangement. Otherwise, frankly, we need about $45 million at least to bring this factory to scratch.
Meanwhile, the Sugarcane Farmers Association have issued a one-week ultimatum to President Akufo-Addo to intervene in the matter and spell out a clear roadmap for off-taking their producer to feed the factory. Okateche Nana Kweku Akon, a spokesperson for the group.
No,
we are not aware of the company taking over the factory, but we will not accept any firm that would take over and import sugarcane or brown sugar for their operation.
Getting to 20,000 acres of sugarcane farmland, it will
And you heard that president of the Sugarcane Farmers Association, Kweku Akon. Joining me in studio is Richard Kojo with more details from this story. Kojo, what have you been picking up?
So, I see two issues. The ministry says the first one, the minister, Katie Amon, was misinterpreted because he did not say any named entity or named individual that they were going to lease the Commander Sugar Factory to. That is the first one. And the second one, concerning the importation of unrefined sugar to process at the Commander Sugar Factory, he says that is for the processing of it, and they are not going to rely solely on that, and so they are going to allow the sugarcane farmers to also grow their sugarcane.
All right, thank you so much, Richard. Now we head to the election headquarters. The election headquarters brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity. CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, AICPA and CIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Also, Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development. Now, a future NDC government will initiate moves to resolve the strained relationship between Burkina Faso and Ghana. This is according to NDC flag bearer John Mahama, who is accusing President Akufo-Addo of damaging the relationship. Speaking during a media interaction with journalists in the Upper East region after concluding his tour, he said maintaining a good relationship with neighboring countries is crucial for addressing the terror threats spilling down from the Sahel to West African coastal states.
Your neighbor's beard is on fire. You fetch water and put it by your beard because it can spread to your own beard. And so we know what is happening in Burkina Faso. Indeed, we should be working closer with our comrades in Burkina Faso. Unfortunately, this government has created some tension between us and Burkina Faso because our president went and opened his mouth too wide. You saw the video. He went and was doing concern about your neighbor. We all are here. We are suffering. America called you small, and you are so excited. And then your neighbor, you are doing concern about him, And so it has created some diplomatic tension. He went there and went and apologized, but still, it's not the best. So when government changes, we have to go and talk to our neighbors because we must work together. Because if there's fire in your neighbor's house, you don't help him to put it off. It will spread to your house.
Well, Mr. Mahama also criticized Mr. Akufo-Addo, saying he is unaware of the extent of corruption within his administration. He said the special prosecutor should be allowed to operate independently to combat corruption effectively.
I'm not saying it because I'm the opposition leader. Transparency International Corruption Perception Index shows that it is the highest this government has done. The perception of corruption is the highest. But you can't measure real corruption, you measure the perception. And so if it says the perception of corruption is highest, then it means that corruption has gone higher. But even just anecdotally, you can tell that there's not the will to crack down on corruption.
Well, my colleague Maxwell Agbobloshie is with the team there and also was at the media encounter in the Upper East region and joins me now. Maxwell, there was a question about delays in the presidential action for the anti-witchcraft bill and what the NDC will do about it. Tell us more.
Yes, Maame, the NDC flag bearer expressed worry over the beating and assault of persons suspected to be witches and said often economic hardship drives people to engage in the practice. He says the issue is one he's passionate about because his wife, the former First Lady, has been doing some work in that area. He says the anti-witchcraft bill will be prioritized if the NDC is elected.
I've not looked at the anti-witchcraft bill yet, but anything that will protect these old men and women from being accused of being wizards and witchcraft, I think that is something that we must look at. The president has not assented to it. I don't know for what reason, but I'll find out. But I mean, I have been drawn to the issue of witchcraft because of my wife's foundation, Lordina Foundation, is the one that has worked closely with the Gambaga witches camp back. I think that is something that we can continue. I know when we're in government, they closed one of the witches camps because they were able to move the women and reintegrate them in their society. So
and you heard there John Dramani Mahama, NDC's flag bearer, coming through to us from the Upper East region. You're still listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. I am Nyamekye. Thompson will take a break. We'll be right back and we'll be hearing what has become of the old Agbobloshie onion market after it was cleared in a major demolition exercise.
Any toilet, any wall.
Now this place has been turned into refuse dump, a toilet for the community and breeding grounds for snake and other reptiles.
Get closer to split-second wins, closer to history in the making, closer to your champions.
Greatest athletic achievements of all time.
Get DSTV to get closer to the 2024 Paris Olympic Games from 26 July to 11 August with 9 dedicated channels for the best coverage of every medal and every podium moment. On Supersport on DSTV, your home of entertainment.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
The luckiest, luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah. The luckiest, luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah.
Doctors,
nurses,
barbers,
drivers,
bouncers,
friends,
teachers,
bankers.
Go.
The luckiest, luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah. The luckiest, luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah.
Doctors,
nurses,
barbers,
drivers,
bouncers,
friends,
teachers,
bankers. The luckiest, you could be the luckiest.
Welcome back to the Midday News. We have sports at Chutamaklo. What's the latest?
Well, the Olympic Games has been one to forget for Ghana. But one man from Ghana who's making the country proud is Flo Kwame Lakai, one of the assistant coaches for the South Sudanese basketball team. They won their maiden game against Puerto Rico, and he's been sharing his experience with Joy Sports.
No, I think it is something that not just Ghana, but as a lot of African countries can emulate because there's talent all over the place. So let's say with South Sudan, before joining the organization, I didn't know that there were so many players around the globe from South Sudan who could really, really play at a high level. And I'm sure that's the same with Ghana. There's some guys in the NBA, I'm sure guys in high level Europe, Australia, or in Asia that we can band together that would like to play for their country. Like me personally, I played for Great Britain. So I was born and raised there, and I played for Great Britain because there wasn't a national team for me to play for in Ghana. So we're going to create that, and we can get those guys who haven't already committed to a national team to play for Ghana. Then would I be involved? I'll be involved, yes.
And that's all in sports.
Thank you, Achu. Now, Ghana's ambassador to the United Kingdom, Papa Owusu-Ankoma, has advised Ghanaians living in the UK to be indoors by 7 p.m. to avoid being caught up in the anti-immigrant protests that have swept across the country within the past week. Papa Owusu-Ankoma said no Ghanaian has been attacked so far and that his office is assessing the situation and will issue a travel advice if Ghanaians are found to be in danger. The High Commissioner advised Ghanaians in the UK to steer clear of protest areas.
No Ghanaians have been affected except that during our inquiries all over the UK, there was one Ghanaian who said he was coming for a bus and she was threatened. But apart from that, nothing untoward has happened in relation to Ghana. Even after this morning, our officers are calling around the country, the leadership of Ghanaian community, asking for an update and urging them to encourage Ghanaians in the UK to try and be indoors by latest 7 p.m. and also to avoid areas where these protests are envisaged to be held later in the day. Well, we may do that. As I said, we've spoken to the leadership of the Ghanaian community to communicate to the various membership. We may place it on our website. Travel advisory may be issued probably later in the day if we get more information and we think that Ghanaians should be careful.
And you had the Papa Owusu-Ankoma, Ghana's ambassador to the UK. Now, 3 years ago, the old Agbobloshie onion market was cleared in a major demolition exercise aiming to pave way for a modern health facility under the Agenda 111 initiative. However, the ambitious plans for the 80-acre reclaimed land appears to have stalled, leaving the area in a state of uncertainty. That's more from my colleague, Sweetie Abochi.
The old Agbobloshie onion market and scrapyard, once a bustling hub of activity, now lies in ruins. This site was demolished on July 1st, 2021 as part of the Let's Make Accra Work initiative led by the former Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Korte. But 3 years later, what has become of the land and the lives displaced?
Most of my friends have died. Overthinking has killed them. Most of them have taken to drugs, and a few others have gone mad. This is because they can no longer make ends meet and they feel like their lives are retrogressing. No job, no place to lay your head.
Yakubu is one of the victims of the demolition exercise. These scrap dealers maintain that they were not supposed to be parts of the demolition. The shock from the displacement has driven many of Yakubu's friends to madness.
Now this place has been turned into refuse dump, a toilet for the community and breeding grounds for snake and other reptiles.
Well, the former president of the Ghana Institute of Planners and a CDD fellow, Dr. Stephen Yerenchi, has been reacting.
One thing about resettlement, one major rule is that if you are not ready to do the resettlement, don't move the people. Otherwise, you create a lot of inconveniences to them. This rule was not taken, and the people were moved. It should have been done timelessly. After moving them, you don't wait for this number of years. And the land is a very prime one. Where it's located is a very prime land in the city of Accra, Agbobloshie for that matter. And for that matter, I will implore government to quickly revisit it and with the structures home. Because if you don't take care, some illegal people will just move back and settle on the land.
Away from that, women in Tolon, Kumbungu, Savelugu and Nanton, all of the northern region, are receiving assistance to develop small-scale irrigation systems, enabling them to grow vegetables all year round. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more in our Climate Focus series.
Women tending to their vegetable garden, a daily routine that ensures their crops receive the necessary water to thrive. The water flowing from the dam supplies the garden, where the women collect it from this point to nourish their vegetables. Fatih Ibrahim is one of the beneficiaries.
As soon as dawn breaks, we all hurry to the farm. If we are fortunate, vegetable buyers will show up. And if we have crops like ayoyo, bra, or beans ready, we can harvest and sell them on the spot. This is a privilege we get to enjoy. Our community was once stagnant with little to no productivity. Then Go Adapt arrived and sparked a transformation.
These rural women used to rely on rainfall to plant their crops, but now they have a more reliable solution.
In the past, during this time of the season, we felt lost and uncertain about what to do.
And what's trending is up next with Jackie. What's happening?
Well, Maame, see, yesterday the finance minister issued an apology to Ghanaians for the struggles and difficulties induced by the domestic debt.
Have they forgiven him?
So apology is trending. Ghanaians are not really taking it easy on him. So someone says that this apology kept long in coming and there's absolutely no remorse in the posture of the finance minister. And someone also says that we thought it was COVID-19 and Ukraine war. At a point in time, they're attributing all these things to what was happening.
Well, you still mentioned that anyway.
Yeah, so people are they are wondering, is it because of elections? So there's so many conversations surrounding that on social media. Well, apart from that, today, Big Chef Tertiary Edition will be live in Bolgatanga today on Joy Prime at exactly 3 p.m. So everyone should just stay tuned for that. And Essie, do you watch Changes in Joy Prime?
Yeah, I've watched SEPs, yes.
Great. So today at 1 p.m. exactly is kickstarting season 2. They've already started.
Oh, wow. I can't
today
wait.
they have Keche and also featuring the National Film Authority CEO for an in-depth conversation.
That will be exciting. Thank you so much, Jackie. And that's how we end the bulletin here on Joy 99.7 FM. I am Nyamekye Thompson. There's more news on my joyonline.com. Up next is Living Word with Pastor